Hello and welcome back to the Miles and Goggles Show. I'm your host, Miles, and let me just say, light the beam, light the beam. The Sacramento Kings just defeated the Golden State Warriors to take a 2-0 lead in the first round. I cannot believe it. The Kings, after 16 years of just total darkness, just took both games at home against the defending champions in a playoff series. Incredible stuff. This series, 2 games in, has been so entertaining and so much fun to watch. And really, not even because of incredible offense so far. I mean, so far, the Sacramento Kings have been winning these games because they've been playing some solid defense. And of course, they've gotten some incredible fourth quarter performances from De'Aaron Fox. But something that I'm sure everyone is going to be talking about with this game is the Draymond Green, Domantas Sabonis. I don't even know what you would call it. Skirmish down low, going for a rebound with about 7 minutes to go. Both are going for a rebound. Both are on the ground. And Sabonis, when he's down, because he's down, he goes down hard. Sabonis, he's going to be feeling it tomorrow. He was taking so many hits and aches, and he's going to be feeling so much pain tomorrow because he was just getting bodied and hit everywhere all the time. So I'm sure I have a little bit of frustration. Held on to Draymond Green's legs a little bit. So what did Draymond Green do? He stepped on, I guess, the chest area of Domantas Sabonis. And the officials gave Draymond Green a flagrant 2 and ejected him from the game. And they gave Sabonis a technical foul, but Draymond Green was lost for the game. At this point, this was a 4-point game with 7 minutes remaining. The Warriors were just making their comeback because they'd been down for most of this game by double figures. They had made their run, as everyone knows, the Warriors are always going to make a run. They made their run. They got it back super close. And Draymond Green was a big part of that with his playmaking in the first half. It was his scoring. He was hitting driving layups. He was hitting a 3. But at this point, this was definitely a huge moment because you could tell that the Warriors' offense the rest of the game wasn't as crisp, I guess, without Draymond Green out on the floor. And instead of him, it was Kevon Looney trying to hand off and Gary Payton as well. And both of whom had terrific games, especially Gary Payton. But man, De'Aaron Fox was huge in this game. I mean, he is going to win the Clutch Player of the Year award because of performances like this. When his team needs him to step up, he comes up and hits the big clutch shots, whether mid-range jump shots, pull-up threes, getting to the basket for layups. He does it all in the fourth quarter. And his performances lately, we could talk about, Malik Monk was incredible in game 1. He had a great game tonight as well. Harrison Barnes cutting, dunking, all that. But they would not have won these 2 games without De'Aaron Fox taking over in the fourth quarter. And now the Sacramento Kings going into San Francisco, they just need to win 2 of the next 5 games. Now, it's going to be really tough because 3 of those potential games will be on the road in San Francisco, where the Warriors are such a different team. They're so much better at home than on the road. And I still think that the Warriors are going to come out with this series because I do believe that eventually they are going to win a road game in this series. Just didn't happen to be the first 2. But Sacramento, they have to be feeling great going into game 3 about where they're at because, like I mentioned, their defense has been great. And during the regular season, they led the NBA in scoring, averaged like 121 points per game. The Warriors are right behind them in that. But the Kings were not a great defensive team. I go take a look back at my preview for the series. Yeah, the Kings were 24th ranked in defense. So that was a big concern I had for them going into this series was if they could stop the Warriors when they needed to. And they've done a solid job. De'Aaron Fox has been good. Davion Mitchell has been spectacular guarding Curry. He's been such a pest. I'm sure they've been taking lessons from Delly on the bench. Um, but yeah, man, Sacramento is up 2-0 on the Warriors. Crazy, crazy stuff. Game 3 will be on Thursday night, and I'm very interested to see how the Kings will play on the road because I have a feeling that the Warriors are going to get a big blowout victory in Game 3 because I don't see them going down 3-0. But we shall see. I mean, with this Sacramento Kings team this season, they've proven that anything is possible. So, yeah, man, just super happy for Kings fans and excited to see how the rest of the series goes. Um, Now let's jump around a little bit to some of the other series going around because this is the first episode since the playoffs have officially started. Let's go to the first game of the day, and that was a real slugfest, a game that really neither of these teams really should have won, in all honesty. But that was the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers. Um, Man, just an ugly, 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 ugly game. It was definitely very hard to watch. There were so many turnovers. Really in the first 2 games of the series, there were 27 combined turnovers in game 1, 28 in game 2. But honestly, even though Philly has won both of these games and they've both ended up being pretty convincing wins, even though this game 2, the Nets were up for most of the game until the 3rd quarter. I think the Nets should be feeling pretty good about their chances to win a game or 2 in this series because um, they've shown their strategy in the first couple of games has been to double Embiid every time he's catching the basketball, and they've forced him to pass out and have the other shooters on the Sixers make threes. Now, the difficult thing with that is the Sixers led the NBA in three-point percentage this season, and that showed in game 1. They hit 21 threes in game 1, shot 49%. And that was really the game. That was really the game right there. Harden was hitting threes. I mean, everyone was just hitting threes in game 1. But in game 2, Embiid only took 11 shots. And now, if you look at his stat sheet, you'll see 20 points, 19 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. But 8 turnovers for Embiid. Harden had 5 turnovers. Harden only had 8 points. The reason they won this game, too, was because of Tyrese Maxey going for 6 threes and 33 points. And then some good solid plays there from Tobias Harris as well, who had a double-double. But something I've been noticing in these first 2 games and why I think Brooklyn has a chance to win a couple games in this series, giving my boy Goggles a little bit of credit here, is in game 1, Brooklyn shot incredibly well from the field. They shot 56% from the field, 45% from 3, but they turned it over 19 times. So heading into game 2, okay, if you don't turn the ball over, you should have a much better chance of winning this game because then the Sixers don't get out in transition. Yes, that should be how it goes. But Brooklyn, they only turned it over 9 times tonight, but they shot 37.5% from the field and 31% from 3. And it's even worse when you think they made 5 of their 13 threes in the first quarter. They shot 25% from 3 the last 3 quarters of the game. So for Brooklyn, if they can just put it together, especially going home to the Barclays Center, if they can put it together to where they can have a solid shooting game, have a solid offensive game as far as shooting the ball goes and not turning the ball over. With the way their defense has been, especially in this game, in game 2, forcing turnovers, I think they have a shot at winning a couple games. Now, I mean, I know that doesn't mean much in the whole grand scheme of things, but because the Sixers are so great, but that's the key for Brooklyn. Just don't turn the ball over and hope that your shooters make shots. I mean, Brooklyn, it's not like they were taking bad shots. They were just missing catch and shoot threes. Um, just tough luck. I mean, Bridges had a okay game. Cameron Johnson was fantastic in this game. He was really the main bright spot for them offensively. I mean, you get a 2 for 11 game from Royce O'Neal, 3 for 9 from Dorian Finney-Smith. Bridges only shot 40% from the field. Dinwiddie shot 36%. I mean, Cam Johnson was the only player that shot above 40% for the Nets this game, and that's not going to cut it if they want to have any chance on winning the series, like I said. So take care of the ball, shoot well, should have a pretty good chance of winning this game. But I mean, you never know because I mean the MVP's on the other side, and he has yet to have had like a real big statement game in this series. Let's see. What's the next series we should go to? Let's briefly talk about couple series that don't look that promising after the first game. Let's talk about the Atlanta Boston series. Now, this game I was not able to watch any of this game because I was working the Knicks Cavs game. The Hawks game was right before that, so couldn't watch the Hawks Celtics game. But I looked and thought the score was 74-44 at halftime, and I was like, oh my goodness. Hey, maybe they should just simulate this series. Like the Celtics just have too many good defenders for the Hawks to be able to deal with them. I mean, Trae Young once again really struggled shooting in the playoffs. Very similar to the Heat series last year, and you go from having like Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler on you last series to Derek White, Marcus Smart. If you get lucky, you get a switch. You get Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Robert Williams. The Celtics are just filled with so many elite defenders. So, I mean, we'll see if the Hawks can have a game. I mean, the Hawks are a terrific offensive team, so I'm sure one of these games at home, they'll have a solid shooting game. They'll give themselves a chance to win. But after one game, man, it's so tough for any team to score on the Celtics because of all the defense, but it's especially hard when you're a team that heavily relies on your guards to score. So, I mean, we'll see if the Hawks can make this a series. Then we've got the Timberwolves Nuggets, which I also didn't catch too much of. I did go back and watch the first half and the third quarter. It's just, man, the Nuggets just have so many weapons on both ends. I mean, you could tell in the first quarter when Jokic threw that no-look pass from the top of the key to the opposite corner, right on the money to KCP. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. The Nuggets are such a good team. Every one of their guys can make a big winning play. They could just do so much. Jamal Murray had a terrific game. Michael Porter Jr. was good, had a double-double. And then they played terrific defense on the Timberwolves as well. I mean, held the Timberwolves to 80 points, which tied for the lowest in any game this season by any team. So Timberwolves are going to have to pick that up if they want to have any chance in this series. But it's not too much to say. I mean, the Nuggets are great. Nuggets are great. I mean, these are the type of performances that they should be having, especially going into the next round. If they can beat the Timberwolves pretty quickly and pretty handily, and they could get some rest before heading into what will be a very difficult series, either way, whether it's the Phoenix Suns or the LA Clippers, because at that point, if the Clippers move on, Paul George should be back. So either way, it's going to be a tough series. So if the Nuggets can just breeze past the Timberwolves, get some rest, that could be huge for them. Now, speaking of the Clippers and Suns, let's head over to that series, man. Now, game one, that was a ton of fun. That was a ton of fun to watch. I mean, like I was telling Jackson, just one thing to appreciate right off the bat is Kawhi Leonard versus Kevin Durant. That was a treat to watch them both go at it. Um, Two of the great elite talents of this generation of basketball fans like me. Like those are two of the definitely top 10, but definitely top 5 players of this like current era of basketball, late 2010s, early 2020s. Just going at it, man. And Kawhi was sensational. He had 38 points in this game on terrific efficiency, but something key for the Clippers heading into the series being the underdogs with no Paul George was who would give Kawhi and the Clippers that secondary scoring option? Because Kawhi can't beat a team all by himself. He needs to have some help, just like any player in the NBA. In the first half, he got that help from Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon had 14 points in the first half and had 7 2-point attempts, and they were all just attacking the basket. He was very aggressive in the first half, tailed off in the second half, settled a lot from 3. But that was okay because Norman Powell stepped up in the second half. And it's huge to get that secondary scoring option in each like half of the game in each set. You can get an Eric Gordon, a Norman Powell. Eventually you might get a Russell Westbrook, who struggled shooting in this game mightily, 3 for 19, but he had a terrific impact this game defensively. I mean, terrific defense on Kevin Durant. Of course, had the big block on Devin Booker. I mean, this game was you get a terrific game from Russell Westbrook when he shoots 3 for 19 from the field. That is what you call the Russell Westbrook experience in one game. He's such a love or hate player with fans across the league, and that game showed why. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the Clippers can get more secondary scoring in the future of this series because Eric Gordon, although he's been solid since getting traded back to the Clippers, you he's not consistent enough to where you can rely on that. And then Norman Powell, I want to see Norman Powell get up more than 10 shots a game. Might get a Bones Highland game at some point in this series. But the centers were also huge. Zubats and Plumlee. That's a much better center. Much better now that the Clippers have 2 centers than beginning of the season. They just had Zubats, and then they were just running a backup center of either like a Robert Covington or a Marcus Morris or Moses Brown. Like that wasn't going to cut it. So having Mason Plumlee come off the bench is huge. He was a plus 16 in 17 minutes off the bench. Meanwhile, for the Suns, a tough loss, man. I mean, it's really due to the fact that they came out so sluggish in the first quarter. Only scored 18 in the first quarter. And I mean, the rest of the game they were fine. I mean, Kevin Durant picked up his scoring. DeAndre Ayton was good. Devin Booker, everyone's getting on him for driving that layup and getting blocked at the end there when they were down 3. But that was one of the best games I'd ever seen Devin Booker play when it comes to both sides of the basketball. He was as locked in on defense as I've ever seen in his career. He was sensational. 4 steals, 3 blocks, and that doesn't even tell the whole story because stats don't always tell the whole story. His effort was there. He really took so much pride on the defensive end, and he was great. It just stinks that last play. But the Clippers were playing great defense. And then it's also tough too for the Suns. You waste a 22-point game from Torrey Craig. That is rough. That's my thing in games like this in the playoffs. If you get a game where a role player steps up like that, like a Torrey Craig gets 22 points, or let's say for the Clippers, and Eric Gordon has 30, or like the Heat in the Bulls Heat playing game, Max Strus has 31, or in the first one, Kyle Lowry had 33. You cannot lose that game because it's hard to see them doing a crazy performance like that again. Now, Torrey Craig could happen again because he's such a good glue guy in that starting lineup, but definitely can't rely on that. Now, the Suns, shallowness on their team without of course Cameron Payne. It really showed. They played 11 players in this game, but when you look at it, I mean, basically only relied on 6. They relied on their starting lineup and Landry Shamet off the bench. Everyone else played anywhere between 4 minutes and 7 minutes. Really, the only one that had a nice effect was Jock Landale in the second half instead of Bismack Biyombo. But even then, I mean, their their starters are going to have to play heavy minutes like they did in this game to have a chance. And that's going to be the way it is throughout this whole series. And their old playoff run. Now they'll get Cameron Payne back at some point, but even then, man, even their backup center, like I just said with Jock Landale, it's very suspect. You only have Biyombo and Landale, and it's just going to be tough. There's going to be times where you may see Kevin Durant play small ball 5 because he's definitely capable of it. But it's definitely interesting. Now this game was so much fun, and I can't wait to see game 2 of this series. This is going to be one that goes the distance. I seriously believe it. Can the Clippers get that secondary scoring, and can the Suns get off to a better start than game 1, which I can attribute a lot of that to probably rust. But even then, can't make that excuse because the Clippers also had a week off as well. So just a solid game for both teams. Really, no excuses. Just excited to see how the Suns bounce back in game 2. Now let's head over. Let's see. Let's head over to the Eastern Conference. Let's talk about my Cleveland Cavaliers. Oh boy, losing game 1 at home. Oh my goodness. Now, this is very, it's very tough as a Cavs fan because this is my first time being back in a playoff series without LeBron and it actually being stressful. So I go on social media and I see all these takes and see all these Knicks fans and I'm like, bro, calm down. And well, mainly with Cavs fans saying that the series is over. It's one game that was close despite most of our players playing terrible. We only got 3 good performances in game 1 to me. Donovan Mitchell obviously was fantastic, 38 points, 8 assists. He was doing it all out there. Jared Allen, I thought, was very solid defensively, blocking shots. And then Cedi Osman, who JB Bickerstaff didn't go to until the second quarter, was the only wing player for the Cavaliers that didn't play with hesitation. Every one of his moves he made, whether it was shooting or driving or passing, it was made with assertiveness and it was made immediately. There was no hesitation on that whatsoever. And he did a very solid job guarding Jalen Brunson at the end of the game. But man, the Cavs, it's just tough because all of their weaknesses on why they might lose this series, it showed in game 1. Their lack of defensive rebounding showed in that second half. They were out rebounded 27-15 in the second half. And the offensive rebounding by the New York Knicks in that fourth quarter is what really cost the Cavaliers the game. Look here in the fourth quarter, the Knicks out on offensive rebounds. It was 7-2 in favor of the Knicks. Because the Cavs, they had made their run. They got all the way back. They had the lead. Then Josh Hart made an incredible 3. Josh Hart, shout out to Josh Hart. He had a fantastic game. As well as Isaiah Hartenstein had a great impact off the bench. Obi Toppin. And then, of course, Jalen Brunson as well. Just took over in that fourth quarter. Made some tough shots, made some tough moves. There's really not much you can do. It's the Knicks have to be feeling good after game 1 because they've gotten in the Cavs' heads physically with their, rebounding and boxing out down low defensively. You could tell that a lot of the players on the Cavs that were playing in their first playoff game, they definitely felt the jitters and the nerves. I specifically look at a guy like Darius Garland, who in that first quarter, the Knicks, every time Garland was in a pick and roll scenario, they would immediately trap him. And he had a few turnovers because he wasn't expecting the trap. Um, Donovan Mitchell, of course, they did the same thing for Donovan Mitchell, but Mitchell more experienced. And since he has with his ball handling, he has a counter to every single move. Obviously, was able to perform and get good offense out of that. But man, I'm excited to see how the Cavaliers respond in game two. I'm also interested to see who JB Bickerstaff will play in game two, because another one of the weaknesses for the Cavs is the amount of guys that just were not playable. I mean, Isaac Okoro, I thought he did a terrific job defensively against Brunson, but 0 for 4 from 3 on all open looks in the corner. Gotta pull him because he just hurts your offense, especially if you also have Mobley and Allen out there. You can't have 3 non-shooters on the floor. That's why Jetty was out there for the whole fourth quarter. You get a 3-point game from Karis LeVert. That cannot happen. Not going to win if that happens. Then, of course, Ricky Rubio, Dean, it's just bad. So I'm curious to see who JB will play in game two. Will we get a Lamar Stevens in game two to get more physicality? I think we will probably see that. For 3 and D, will we see a Danny Green sighting to see if he has anything left in the tank after injury? We shall see. But I've been doing a lot of talking about the Cavs, talking about how rough they played in game one. But the Knicks, they played very solid in game one. In a night where their offense wasn't clicking that much, because the Cavs are, even with their struggles, they still played a very solid defensive game. But the Knicks, they got the big time shots when they needed them from Brunson. They made the plays to get offensive rebounds like Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart. And they made all the plays down the stretch. Once the Cavs took the lead with 2.5 to go, the Knicks, they just made the plays. Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, they just made all the plays. Quentin Grimes with the 2 free throws at the end. They have to be feeling really good about taking game one. Now the Cavs, obviously, game two, this is definitely a must win. If they want to have a chance in this series. If they lose game two, calling it over there. But I'm just super excited to see how they come out. We'll see how some of these guys, after their first playoff games, how they come out. Because when you look at the guys that played, we had, out of the 9 guys that played, this is the first playoff game for 4 of these guys: Okoro, Mobley, Garland, and Wade. And we'll get Stevens in game 2. But I think that I'm curious to see how the Cavs will bounce back. All right, next up, let's talk about the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, this game one was the game of injuries, man. Got Giannis Antetokounmpo with the lower back contusion after hitting Kevin Love and falling down on his back with the offensive foul. And then near the end of the first half, you have Tyler Hero breaking a couple fingers on his right hand, out for 4 to 6 weeks. Just a series of injuries, man. But Miami just stepped up in game one offensively as well. Well, it's definitely been a big talking point, especially on this podcast, the struggles of Miami offensively this season. They shot 60% from the field and from 3 in game one. Everyone that played for Miami shot at least 50% from the field, which is bonkers. Jimmy Butler was incredible, 35 points, 11 assists. Bam, after a couple struggle buses in the play-in tournament, he was huge in this game. They finally got a Kevin Love game, his best game in a long time. 18 points and 8 rebounds in less than 23 minutes off the bench with 4 threes, drew a couple offensive fouls. Yeah, man, just everyone stepped up for Miami, and that's what Miami's going to need if they're going to want to win this series, even with Giannis or without him. Now, going to the Milwaukee Bucks side of things, even with the Giannis injury, which definitely took the crowd out of it, no doubt about it, would have taken anyone's home crowd out of it, seeing the best player in the world go down with injury. But offensively, they really struggled from three. They shot 49.5% from the field, but they shot 11 for 45 from three, 24%. And a lot of their role player shooters missed a ton of threes. I mean, you go down the line. Middleton, he had a great game. He had 33 points. He was 12 for 20 from the field, but he was just 2 for 7 from three. Brook Lopez, 0 for 3 from three. Drew Holiday, 2 for 9. Bobby Portis, 0 for 5. Jay Crowder, 0 for 4. Javon Carter, 0 for 2. Just none of their role players were hitting besides like Grayson Allen, Joe Ingles, and Wes Matthews, who I was surprised got the call to play in game one. If you're the Milwaukee Bucks, I think even if you don't have Giannis Antetokounmpo in this series, which I'm sure he's going to come back, I'm very confident he's going to come back at some point, and definitely at some point in the series. If not game 2, most likely game 3 or 4. But I think you should be confident that as great as Miami's defense is, a lot of this comes down to your shooters just missing shots. They got the inside going. You had Brook Lopez, who was doing good things on the inside. You had Bobby Portis, who had 21 points and 8 rebounds off the bench. He's probably going to get the call to start in game 2 or whatever game that Giannis is out. And in that case, the Bucks are going to have a huge size advantage if Miami continues to start Jimmy Butler at the 4 and Strus at the 3. So if you're Milwaukee, I don't think that there's a need to panic that they're going to lose this series even though Giannis is out, because I think a lot of the struggles in game 1, while it also was a lot of defensive problems, they were also missing open shots as well. So I think the Bucks should be feeling okay if they just need to win game 2, which I think they will. I think they're going to bounce back in a big way. But you definitely got to feel confident if you're Miami. I mean, it's just crazy how much the Giannis injury. I don't think it's as severe as we'll get to Ja Morant's injury with the Lakers Grizzlies, but I don't think Giannis's injury is that severe. But if the Bucks were to lose this series because he was out, that whole side of the bracket in the Eastern Conference could be totally shaken up. That could open up the Heat, the Cavs, or the Knicks to just conference finals because the Bucks are out of it because Giannis is out. I don't think that's going to happen because I think the Bucks are still going to win this series even if Giannis is out. Heard it here first. But I definitely would not be shocked if the Heat won this as well, because I mean the Heat are the experienced team and they definitely have the tools to do it. I mean, Jimmy Butler is a monster, but I think if the Bucks are hitting their shots, I think they still have a chance. I think they still have a chance. Now, the final series, we'll go to the Lakers and the Grizzlies, and that is another injury. Of course, another one that had to do with the offensive foul and the charge rule. I'll quickly address that real quick. After the Giannis and Ja injuries with the charges, I've been seeing so many people on Twitter now talk about how like the NBA should get rid of the charge rule. And to me, it is a dangerous play for sure. It's definitely a dangerous play. But I don't know, man. You can't get rid of the offensive. You can't get rid of offensive fouls in general or charges. I mean, are you just saying that you just determine if a guy barrels into someone, no matter where he is, even if he's inside of the restricted area, that should be an offensive foul? I don't know. So there's definitely a lot more that goes into it besides like just taking the rule out? Is that going to be a judgment thing that the officials make on the fly with everything else? I mean, we'll see. We'll see. But I mean, as far as this game, I mean, Austin Reeves, man, just took over on a floor with LeBron James and Anthony Davis and D'Angelo Russell. It was Austin Reeves taking over in the pick and roll, hitting layups, threes, mid-rangers, saying that I'm him. I mean, can't blame him after that type of performance. I mean, he closed the game out for the Lakers. This was a 1-point game with 3:11 remaining. And it was just Austin Reeves' time. And then also the Grizzlies just missed some shots. I mean, Desmond Bane missed a couple of wide open threes. Jaren Jackson Jr. missed a hook shot over D'Angelo Russell that he should have made. And then after that point, it's a 8-point game with a minute left. The Grizzlies are just out of it. Then they're turning it over. It just turned into a total obliteration. Somehow went into a 16-point game by the end of it. But yeah, man, Lakers just turn it on. When the Lakers turn it on like that, and you get performances like that from Austin Reeves, you get a crazy 29-point performance from Rui Hachimura. And then Anthony Davis was great defensively. I mean, he had the little stinger in his shoulder and all that. But like LeBron James was great as well. But like if you have 4 guys that are having great games like that, if they just turn it on, that you can't say that the Lakers don't have a chance to, make it far in make a deep run. So especially if Ja Morant is injured. A lot of people had the Lakers winning the series, including me, before his injury. This could just enhance that a lot more. Now, the Grizzlies, throughout the last couple of years, they have done a great job of winning games with Ja Morant in his absence. A lot of that's due to the fact that they have Tyus Jones, who's one of the best backup point guards in the league. But we shall see what happens. Can the Lakers role players continue to keep it up like they have been, the second half of the season? I think they probably will. And if you're the Grizzlies, can you get better efficient performances from your other guys, especially if Morant is out? Now, Jaren Jackson at 31 points, he was great. But you get tough shooting from Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, which is going to happen. But you're going to need some other guys to step up if you're going to want a chance without Ja Morant. So that'll be interesting to see. Speaking of Jaren Jackson Jr., was announced last night. He won the Defensive Player of the Year award. Congratulations to Jaren Jackson Jr. on winning that award. Much, very well deserved. Winning it over, I think the finals were Brook Lopez and Evan Mobley. So, great win for Jaren Jackson Jr., the second Defensive Player of the Year in Grizzlies franchise history. Looking ahead to tonight, we've got 3 games. The Hawks Celtics, maybe a bit of a dud, but arguably the best series in each conference. You've got the Knicks Cavs at 7:30, and then the Clippers Suns at 10 o'clock, both on TNT. We will see how both the Cavs and the Suns can respond to taking close, tough losses in game 1. So that should be tons of fun. Because I'll be working the Cavs game, probably won't have an episode to come out on Wednesday night, but we will be back recapping Wednesday night's games on Thursday. Hopefully Goggles will be with me. We'll see what happens. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe if you want some more NBA postseason content. The Twitters will be in the links in the description down below. I'm Miles. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.